Hello again everybody. So today we are going to be installing a USB charging point into the top box of the bike. I will do it in such a way that I can unclip it and take the top box off when I'm not using it. I'll split this into two sections. The first one will be actually physically installing this into the top box, and then the second bit will be wiring it into the bike. Now with regards to links and things like that, I'm not going to bother putting any in because I got this stuff off of eBay, and links can change. A seller might sell out of something, but then another one will be selling the identical thing. So basically the easiest thing to do is just to go on eBay and search USB motorcycle or motorcycle USB whatever, and it will usually come up with it. It will come up with a variety of different things. I've gone for just a nice simple design because obviously this being round, it's easier to cut a round hole than it is any other type of hole. So I went for that, but you can get ones, because this only has one USB, you can get ones that got two USB points, you can get ones different shapes, but then you've got to bear in mind it'll be a bit more difficult to make the hole in the top box for it. Incidentally, to make the hole I used this because I have already done it. This is just a hole saw, goes on the end of your drill bit. The drill bit makes the initial hole, and then this comes in and just cuts it out. Obviously you need to use one that's big enough that this will go in it, but small enough that this won't. So like if I sit this in here now, you can see that it sits in there but doesn't go all the way through, if that makes sense. Have already made the hole. I did slip a little bit, unfortunately, which kind of made it a little bit messy, as you can see, but it's still perfectly fine. Where it's a bit rough around the edges, this bit here, which goes on the back of this, does kind of go in a little bit, doesn't work quite so well. So what I've done, the USB thing also came with this, which is like a bit for if you want to stick it on the handlebars. So I've just cut this bit off, and I'm going to use this as a backing plate, and that will just cover up that, and it will also make sure this is nice and secure inside there. So let's go ahead and put that in there. I'll put you guys down here so you can see what's going on, hopefully. Right, so stick this through here. Now I'm going to put the backing plate on. I'm just going to do all this up loosely for now so I can get it the right way round in a minute. So I'll put that in there. So then the next thing to go on is just this bit, which I think it only goes on a certain way. I can't remember which way though. I think it might be this way. Let's have a look. See if I've got that right. Yes, I have. I have indeed. Right, is that going to work best that way? Yep. Right, so at this point, I can just bring this up in here, so you can see where this is, where it's going to sit. Twist it around so it's the way I want it, that way. Yeah, so that's going to sit up there. It's got the waterproof cover, this thing, and then I can just switch it on and off. Got my little charging point there, which is quite nice. Right, let's just stick you guys down in here. Let's tighten that up. Yeah, okay. So that's that. Nice and easy. Let's get this round into the light so you can see it a bit better. So yeah, there you go. Lovely. Cool. And then from the back, it does stick out just a little bit, unfortunately. But to be fair, firstly, I never take passengers on this bike anyway. The only reason I've got this is because this was originally on my 600. But also that doesn't actually stick out enough to get in the way anyway, so that's fine. I mean, I'm quite happy with that. That works well. Cool, so the next thing is going to be wiring into the bike. Okay guys, so once you've got the USB port actually installed in the top box, the next thing is to wire it into the bike. Now I would recommend wiring in a relay because you don't want to drain your battery when you turn the bike off. So what this will basically do is just mean that when you turn the ignition off, everything that you've got wired up will turn off as well. So I've already got one attached to my bike because of the heated grips, and I'm basically going to just use the same one. But if you haven't already got one installed, I'll just quickly show you how this works. So you've got 4 terminals on here. 2 of them basically are connected via a switch, which opens and closes when you pass a current through the other 2. So let me show you. Okay, right, so this terminal here is connected to a switch live source. So in my case, it's connected to the orange wire over here, which is actually the power supply for my rear tail light, and that comes on and on with the on and off with the ignition. So when I turn the ignition on, power comes through this line, and then the other side of this, which is the one at the bottom here, is attached to ground. So when power comes through this line and goes to the ground through that cable, it creates a small amount of magnetic force which closes the switch between the other 2. So the other 2 are connected, one end's connected to the battery and the other end is connected to whatever it is you want to power. So in my case, I've actually got 2 cables coming out of this. I've got one cable going to the heated grips, and I've got another cable here which isn't attached to anything at the minute because this is going to be my USB. So just to recap, when the ignition's turned on, power comes through into this box, creates a small magnetic force which shuts the switch inside it, which then allows power to travel from the battery to whatever it is you want to power. When you turn the ignition off, obviously there's no power coming through here to the relay. The switch then opens and cuts the power from the battery to everything else. So that's the relay. So the rest of the wiring for this project is over here. Basically, just going to need some standard wiring. It's just from Halfords. I've gone for 17 amp. It's a bit overkill, but it's just what I happen to have lying around at the time anyway. It's always better to go too thick than too thin with wiring though, generally speaking. The other thing I've got is a waterproof 2-wire automotive switch. Again, this is from eBay. You just search, motorcycle waterproof connector. Sorry, it's a connector, not switch, what I'm talking about. Anyway, search for that and it will come up, or car connector, either one, doesn't matter. And as you can see, it's got like a little rubber seal thing here, so that when it's connected it's waterproof. And by putting this on there, it just means that if I want to take the top box off, I'll be able to disconnect it and just take it off like that. Nice and easy. Now the other thing that is worth putting in there is a fuse on the red wire here. Now I'm not going to do that now, I'm just going to wire it all into the bike, but later on today I will go get one and put it in there just for a bit of peace of mind. But yeah, for now I'll just wire it in as is, because I'm not really going to be using it today. So, where shall we start? Probably the best thing is to put the top box on the bike so we can see how long a cable we need. Okay. So yeah, and this bit of cable is actually quite long, so I'll probably have to shorten that a little bit depending on where I decide to put the connector. But I'm going to run the cable through, I'm actually going to run it down here, behind all that stuff. Right. Come on, that's it. Oh, no. There we go. Right, okay, yeah, so I will need to shorten it slightly. Let's cut it about there, I think. Right, I'm just going to pop you guys back down a second and sort the wiring out so it's the right length, and then I'll show you what I've done. Okay guys, let's just recap what we've got here. So I've got the USB port there, the cable's coming down here, this will all be sort of under the seat. I've then got them connected, I just need to solder them up and put tape and stuff around them. What I'm going to do, I don't know how well you can see this, I'm going to solder these up and then put tape around them individually so that they're separated from each other. And then up here I've actually got a bit of heat shrink insulator, so that'll go over the top of the whole lot and insulate it, because this bit will be outside of the bike, so it'll be exposed to the elements a little bit, so that's just to protect that. So obviously that goes down to this half of the connector. So then the other half of the connector, one half, the negative wire is just connected to the negative side of the battery. Again, this will just be soldered up and taped up, and then the positive side is connected to that positive outlet of the relay that I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and solder all this up, and then we'll connect it up and see if it works. Okay guys, so finished product. I've got, as I said before, it all connected from the port down to the connector, which I've put just here. As you can see, I've put the insulation shrink wrap around this bit here. Everything's soldered, so it's all nice and secure, and everything's insulated. So yep, connector. Then I've got the cable running to the negative terminal on the battery, and the cable running to the positive of the relay, which then obviously is connected to the battery here. So all that's left to do is to see if it works. Right, so obviously everything's turned off at the minute. It's all connected up to the battery, obviously, but as you can see, I'll turn it off, turn it on, nothing. There is a little red indicator light that tells me whether it's working or not. So let's go turn on the ignition. And there we have it, guys. Off, on, and if I leave you guys here a second, and I go turn that off, it should turn off. There we go. Perfect. Well, there we have it, guys. That doesn't look too bad. Nice little addition to the top box. Obviously, you know, if you've got a scooter or something like that which doesn't have a USB, you can install this into the glove box at the front or whatever, but because obviously I've got a bike, and a very sort of simple one at that, it doesn't really have anything up front, so I decided to put this in here. I am going to put a USB at the front to power the sat-nav and things, which will just go somewhere on the handlebars here, I imagine. But I wanted somewhere that I could put my phone or whatever I wanted to charge in, where it'd be out of the weather. So, you know, if it's raining or whatever, I can stick it in here and charge it on that USB. And it'll all be okay. So there we go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was useful to you. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Go check out my other modifications and bits and bobs. But for now, as I say, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.